Hey guys, welcome back to Warren C Street Photography Podcast. I know it's been a minute since we had the last podcast, but I wanted to finally go ahead and get back to the regular schedule of doing these twice a month. You know, the day job has been out of control for the month of September. And although I know you don't care about that, it definitely had an effect on me getting a podcast out to you guys. So for those of you new to Warren C Street Photography Podcast, I break it up into segments. And in each segment, I talk about stuff in and around related to street photography. So the first one, I tend to talk about a trend, and I tend to talk about the trend either I see or the trend that folks are talking about. And whether I have positive or negative comments about it, I'll let you know. And then from there, we go to who you reppin', which is one of my favorite sections where I talk about somebody either you guys want me to talk about a street photographer in the city that they're from, repping them, talking about their style, how it influences me and so forth, and how you might want to look at them to see how you can maybe learn from them and help improve your creative style while you go out and get your street images. And from there, we'll talk about gear as it relates to street photography, positive and negatives, and then finish off with a Q&A of either a question that was presented to me by the community, either through the YouTube channel comments or my Instagram at WarrenC01, or I will pose a question to the community to get you guys kind of thinking about it. And then you can, of course, again, either hit me on my Instagram or hit me in the comments for the YouTube video, depending on how you're either viewing or listening to this podcast, so that you can answer or give your feedback, thoughts on that question. So with that, we're going to start with the first segment of the podcast, which is trends. So I just was out today shooting, wanted to get some images, some content with my GFX 50R along with the 50mm lens attached to it, and be able to take out a medium format digital camera back on the streets and get me some good street images. And one of the things I talked about recently about trends was about how I saw the resurgence of compact point and shoots, or just compact premium cameras in general. And one of the things, and I want to kind of revisit that, I should say, and go over what I see now is happening when it comes to that trend. Now what we really are starting to see is a premium introduction. Leica with the Q3 has now just introduced the Q3 You got Fuji 106 that's out there with the 40 megapixel sensor, and that's it's over $1,000 for that camera, right? We're not even gonna talk about how much the Q3 costs, let alone the new Q3. I think the original Q3 with the 28mm lens is about $6,200. And then with this new 4.3 or 43mm lens, apochromatic, I think if I'm saying it right, but it's an Apo lens, which is really supposed to be a high-end quality detail lens. That sucker is $6,900 or something like that, $500 more or something to that effect, $6,700. So those are pretty expensive, premium, full of features. I mean, these cameras will allow you to drop down from the megapixel counts by changing the format of the image from, you know, a 16:9 to a 1:1, 4:3, or whatever the settings are, and you get different sizes. You can do so digital zoom with both these cameras. I think you can do up to 4 different focal lengths with the Leica Qs, and with the Fuji, I believe it's 3 on top of what the lens itself will do at 35-ish. And then, you know, with Fuji, you can then spend another $300 each on their conversion lenses, so that you can add to your focal lengths and opportunities of capturing the subjects that you want. And I'm wondering now who else is going to jump in and start trying to capture some of that consumer base, because these cameras are out of stock. They just got introduced, and it's very difficult to get one. You can't walk into a store, say a store that's a Fuji retailer, and get an X100V off the shelf. You can't walk into a Leica store in a lot of cases, or a Leica dealer authorized, and get a Leica Q3, or this new Leica Q343 is even a limited run, so it's going to be even harder. And the day they announced it is the day they released it, which I didn't realize. So as you go into, like, say, B&H or wherever you go online, or to a brick and mortar mom and pop store, you can't even get these cameras. And good luck to those, and great job for those that already gotten the Q343 in their hand. But what I don't like about it is you don't have enough brands in that market yet to where you just don't have the stock. And the need, I won't say the need, the want to get one and try it out is just not there, because it's just limited stock or no stock whatsoever. What I would like to see is other brands jump in with some introductions, so that we have options there, and be able to take advantage of the fact that competition will hopefully have inventory there for folks to be able to get these cameras, because clearly there are a lot of folks out there that want the cameras because they're not in stock and they're hard to get. You know, I would like to see, for instance, Sony come out with a updated version of the Sony RX1R that is still able, you're still able to buy on B&H today, 10-year-old plus camera. Why not come out with a updated model with the new autofocusing system, the new processor, the new sensor, right? Take out the 40-something megapixel sensor that's in that bad boy and put in the 61 megapixel sensor that you have, say, in the A1 or the A7CR, right? As much as I like the way the A7CR, and I think it can fall into this area, right? It's not fixed lens, which is no big deal, but you could put a 40 mil on there, a Sony 40 mil lens on there. I think they have a 2.5, and I think that's a fantastic combo, especially for walking around for street. It is far less cheaper than the Leica Q, more expensive than the Fuji, but it's available. But if you're looking for a point and shoot, I think that Sony can go ahead and throw that 61 megapixel sensor into a released version of the RX1R with the autofocusing systems and stuff like that. Make it stills forward, not video and stills, but stills forward. If you want to throw some basic video features in there, go for it, but make it more stills forward. And you have another brand that can throw some stock into the game and have something, you know, for folks to be able to go after. Another person that can do, or I should say brand that can do the same, would be Nikon. I recently talked about if Nikon did a high resolution ZF, you know, you have a lot of Nikon folks out there that'd be happy with that. Right now, you can go in and get a ZF and a ZFC in stores, which is great. But for that ZF at 24 megapixels, I would love to see them throw that 45 megapixel sensor that they want to put in the Z7 too, and that that's in the Z8, that's in the Z9, and give folks that, if you will, updated DF, right? Nikon DF, I think it was, that came out back in the day with 16 megapixels, looks like a film camera, kind of had the dials on the top, and you know, certain folks love that. I think you get that with the ZF with a 45 megapixel sensor in it, and yet you have another brand that's producing a product that could give inventory and competition, so that if folks don't, maybe I'm not a Leica shooter, maybe I'm a Nikon shooter and I want something similar, there you go. And then even for Fuji, I know there's been rumors about a fixed lens GFX. I think them actually making that rumor real will even again add more to the availability of what's out there in a premium point and shoot. Because I could tell you now, most people think it's crazy, but I just went out with my GFX 50R with the 50 mil lens on it and treated it like a medium format street photography camera, what I would feel would be the right lens focal length on it for medium format. And that's how I shoot that camera. I don't put any other lenses on it that I have for the GFX, because when I want to shoot street, that 50 mil or 50 megapixel, excuse me, sensor medium format is perfect. And that 50 mil lens is perfect on it. I would prefer something more closer to say a 43 than say the 40-ish that it gives on a full frame, but still 40 is still pretty damn good. And I believe I get some really great images when I take that combo out. So let me know what you guys think as we look more at the trend and how it's growing. Do you feel other brands should jump in there, especially since there's a lack of inventory? Take advantage of that. Do you even care? Do you don't see it as a trend like I do and don't care? Or, you know, you do agree, and you do agree what I'm saying, but yet you have other things you think should happen. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. So as we move from, you know, the trending section into the next one, as you guys know, this is a favorite section of mine, and this is the Who You Reppin' section, where we talk about a street photographer, their style, how I see it, it fits me, and how I can incorporate it, and how you might want to do the same, and where they came from. Well, we're going to change it up a little bit this time, because there's been a young man I've been following on YouTube for a while now, since he kind of started his channel. So we're repping out of Los Angeles, and we are going to be talking about Mr. Mike Gray. And Mike Gray doesn't know I'm doing this. This is not a sponsor for him or anything like that, other than me just showing him some love because of the type of work he does and the type of content he puts on his channel. Mike Gray shoots primarily film, and he will shoot on the streets. He will shoot in studio. He uses flash. He will shoot medium format mostly. And when he started his channel, he kind of stuck to that, and he kind of stays to that, which I think is fantastic. But his way of capturing his subjects is phenomenal. Mike, I think on his channel will admit that he started all of this as, you know, in the entertainment business, you know, as an actor, but gravitated toward photography as he's looking at increasing his following and brand on the acting side. I think he's definitely found a niche for himself on the photography side. His images are very strong. Portrait work, great use of the film stocks that he used to bring out the story he's trying to tell, from using black and white film stock to color film stock, getting out his Mamiya, I think it's I break it up, but it's Mamiya 6.7, RG or RZ, whatever 6.7, and then he's gotten a Hasselblad 501C that he uses. He's even dabbled in the digital side with Hasselblad and with Fuji. And of course, I've shot a few comments in there trying to move him to the Fuji side. But I think his work is phenomenal, to the point that I love his creative side and how he will, using his resources in the acting community and movie business community, to even set up scenes, full scenes, to capture the images that he wants to capture. Again, whether they're on location or whether they're in a location inside, he goes full tilt. My man goes full tilt, and I want to bring some love his way. He's about to release his first book. If you go to his YouTube, it'll link to his website that he has a pre-order in for his first book. Again, this is not sponsored by Mike. Mike doesn't even know I'm doing this, but I want to show him some love, and I actually plan on getting his book and adding it to my growing library of photographers that inspire me. And what his style does for me is when I shoot film, one, it helps me because it helps me understand how to play with the light and the strobes and the flash when I get to that point. But it allows me to look at how he visualizes what he wants the scene to look like. And you can do that with digital the same way you can do it with film. And of course, when it comes to street, it's all light play. You know, I look at how he goes after light, utilizes light, even in the competition he does with up and coming photographers in his area that he finds and works with. They all have a good understanding or a growing understanding of light play, how to use the light in the area to get the mood that you want, to get the image that you want. And that's what I've learned from Mike Gray and his style of photography. And I think it's just been a joy to watch him grow, to watch his artistic style grow, and to see the content that he produces. I look forward to his videos that he puts out. And, you know, I wish he would put out more because I'm just selfish. I would like to see more because, I think the young man's work is just phenomenal. So who I'm repping LA. I'm repping with Mr. Mike Gray. Check out the links in the description. Let me know what you think about his channel. If you like it enough, definitely subscribe. His channel is growing and growing nicely. And I at times would love to have some of his creative style to produce better videos for myself, for my channel. So if you like him, follow him, but definitely check him out. If you think his work is good enough that you want to cop a copy of his first book, go for it. I definitely will, because I want to support the young man, and I think what he's doing is just phenomenal. So with that, we're going to go ahead into the next section, which is gear. So you guys know, as you hear me breathe, whenever it comes to the gear section and gear that I think helps us when it comes to street photography, I always will, after I do videos and do content and stuff, will forget to give the love to not the cameras that we use to get us the content we want, but the accessories that we use to get us the content we want. You know, I've said on my YouTube channel on some videos, particularly videos about how to get comfortable shooting street photography, that, you know, you want to get accessories or gear that you can learn and it becomes second nature to you. Like my X100V here, you know, I have a half case on this thing, and that half case makes this more comfortable for me to where I don't think about the uncomfortableness of this while trying to use this camera and shoot. The shutter button release that's on here makes this camera more comfortable for me to press it, and more reactive for me for that shutter button, so that I can get a lot more images. The thumb rest that I have on here does the same thing. There are accessories that I've gotten for this camera and for all my other cameras, and that we all get, from tripods to straps to half cases to battery chargers and things like that, that help us to be able to keep our cameras working the way we need to make it second nature for us to get the content that we want. And I just want to make sure that folks understand that we have a lot of variety, which makes this great. And you can have a lot of different choices out there to help get you to where you want to get to on your gear, and be able to use your gear effortlessly, easily, second nature, muscle memory, to get the content you want, second thought. And I just want to bring some, I guess you can say, attention to that. Let's not forget about all the different things that we use to help us be able to use our gear, our cameras particularly, more efficiently when we're out there getting our content. I think for me, one of the gear pieces that I get time and time again when I get a new camera immediately is a half case or some type of cage from Small Rig, because I do YouTube content, and I need to be able to mount stuff to this camera without mounting it to the camera directly. I need to be able to have options on the camera for mounting stuff. So my XH2S that I film all of this stuff on, you know, I have a Small Rig cage on this thing, and I have on it lights, I have on it a mic. I also have the ability to attach things to that camera to make it a full-fledged cinema rig if I wanted to as well. And it is just phenomenal that we have all this stuff out here to help us be able to use our cameras more efficiently, right? But with that though, I will say the biggest problem I have with it is we have too much stuff. I have 3 cases for this camera. Obviously I can only use one at a time. And if this camera ever was to leave my inventory of gear, I have to figure out what to do with all the stuff, all the accessories I got for this camera that I can't use on other cameras. Same thing for the XH2S that I have right here. Same thing for my GFX 50R. I have a Small Rig cage for it. I have a leather half case for it. I have an L bracket for it. And once that camera goes, generally people only want the camera. They don't want the accessories, right? So that is the downfall to it, to having so many options and being able to go through a number of selections to pick the ones that's right for you and help you utilize your camera more efficiently. You run the risk of having more stuff than you'll ever need And then when you no longer have that camera, then what do you do with that stuff? Some people will just sell the stuff with the camera, which is great if you can do that. Some people will put stuff on third-party resale apps like eBay. And sometimes places like KEH will maybe even take that stuff and sell it themselves, where you can release that extra accessory inventory you have, because you no longer have that camera, right? And be able to not have all this stuff just sitting there that you don't know what to do with, and have there's a term for it, but basically have this waste, this that you don't need, because you don't have the main thing that you were using it for. So that to me is the negative part about when it comes to gear, even for street photography. What do you do with the accessories when you get rid of the camera, right? You guys, let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about that when it comes to your gear, the accessories. What are your thoughts on it? Positive and negative when it comes to the stuff that we get from the filter that I have on this lens, that based on the filter size, I might not be able to use it for another camera. I actually have in the drawer over here, in one of my cabinets, I have a tray full of ND filters, because back when I started doing photography, everybody said you had to have ND filters, or circular polarizers, to be able to polarize out and get good images. So now I got a bunch of ND filters and circuit polarizers I don't know what to do with. Again, I probably could go to my local store and see if they want them. But based on what I spent on these things and what I would get for them, what do you guys do? Let me know what you think about the gear, the accessories part of the gear. And what do you do with your accessories when you no longer have the camera that you bought them for, or the lens that you bought them for? So with that, we're going to get to the last section of the pod, which is the Q&A. So again, if I don't get a question from the community, I ask one myself. And one of the questions that always pops up to me when it comes to street photography, and what I want to know what you guys thought is when you're out and you're doing your street photography, how social are you? Do you talk to people? If somebody stopped you and asked you about your photography, how social are you? How much do you share? Do you make it quick? Yeah, thanks, I appreciate that. Yeah, the gear is nice. Or yeah, I like taking pictures. And do you hand out a business card? Do you hand out your Instagram? Do you grow the social side of your social media, if you will, by giving out your IG or your Twitter handle or your Facebook information? How social are you when you're out doing street photography? So for me, I'm very social. I went out today and took out, I said earlier, the GFX 50R with the 50mm lens on it. And I haven't been out with my digital medium format street camera set up in a while. So I wanted to go out and create some content and get some images. And in the 2 hours that I walked around, I was very social, I would say. I mean, I met a new small business owner. I met a couple of folks walking around who were interested in maybe me doing some work for them because they saw the camera and the GoPro. I just basically said hello to folks that saw what I had and smiled and kind of said something to me. I took pictures of people who saw my gear and said, hey, you want to take a picture of me? And I did. And one person even asked for my Instagram handle while they were waiting at the light, holding up traffic so that they can be able to go to my page and see the picture I took of them on my page, right? So I tend to be very social. I think it's a fun part of me getting out and doing street photography. And it's one of the reasons why I actually get out and do street photography, is to meet new people and enjoy that experience of getting out and meeting people in general. But there are some negatives to that too, because, sometimes I just want to shoot. I don't want to say hello. I don't want to interact with people per se talking. I don't mind a person wanting me to take their picture, or allowing me, I should say, permission to take their picture. You know, my way I feel, I know the rules of, and the law, I should say, in the US, I can take pictures of anything in a public space, don't need permission. But sometimes I just want to shoot. I don't want to talk to anybody. And this was, believe it or not, one of those times. But because I am a social person in general, I of course talk to folks. I had my AirPods in my ears. I was playing music and just minding my own business, taking pictures. But again, I've said often, time and time again, people see you with the camera, and they are going to ask you questions. So you do have to be ready to be social and talk to people. At least be ready to respond. I think it'd be great to respond. I know you don't have to, but I will respond and I will talk to folks. But even when I try to be as unsocial as possible at times, because sometimes it's just about me. I just want to shoot. I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to shoot. I still am a little social. So it was a question I had to myself that I wanted to ask on the next podcast, if I wasn't given a question to ask you guys about, is how social are you when you're out doing your street photography? So that's the cast, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Again, I know it's been a month. It got busy at work, unfortunately, and life happens. And when life happens, you happen with it. So I'm glad to get another episode out. You guys let me know again in the comments what you thought about the different segments, and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's keep growing the channel. And I appreciate everyone who's gotten to the end of this and shown me some watch time love, because you know that also helps when it comes to YouTube itself, as well as all the other podcast outlets that this podcast is on. So with that, see you guys on the next cast.